Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Transformational Tuesdays. I'm your host, Tasha M. Scott, and I'm thankful and grateful for you for joining me tonight. And I also want to say in advance, thank you to all of you who are watching this by replay. So, what is Transformational Tuesdays? If you're joining me for the first time, what is it? Who am I? So, I own a company called Maximized Growth LLC. And where did this name come from? I am on a mission to help other people, leaders, influencers, teams, to really learn how to grow intentionally. And when I think about the word maximize, I think to the ultimate level, right? And so that's where my company name came from, Maximized Growth. And a lot of what I do is I literally get to introduce people to themselves. I do it through trainings, workshops, through masterminds, through coaching, all of those things. But that's what led us here on this journey, Transformational Tuesday, because I wanted to have a space online where I was able to show up and just pour value into people. So this is our 11th week on the journey, and I love seeing regulars come through. Sandra Lovelace, thank you for tuning in. I love seeing your face. You're one of my favorites that shows up every week faithfully. So good to see you here from South Carolina. I'm excited, y'all, to announce, I shared it last week, that this is actually a podcast now on YouTube. So if you ever want to go back and watch any of the episodes, you can actually go to my channel, which is at Maximized Now on YouTube, and you can watch the podcast. This is a new feature that YouTube has that's out now. So I'm super excited about that. And of course, while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I'm definitely wanting to spread the word and I need your help to do that. So, like I mentioned, tonight we are continuing our journey. We're going through a journey of atomic habits. Tonight, we're going on through chapter 11. And the actual title of the chapter is called Walk Slowly, but Never Backward. But if I had to give it a different spin, I would say it's how to master your habits and increase productivity. Now, let me ask you, is there anyone on here where you say, you know what? I could use some help increasing my productivity? I could. I could use some help. I procrastinate sometimes. I'm guilty of planning, and not executing as much as I could. Whatever that looks like for you, we're going to talk about this tonight in depth. But I want to I know the title says walk slowly but never backward, but I do want to take a trip back to one of the chapters that we talked about because I want to bring it full circle to our topic tonight. So, I want to go back and revisit chapter 2. Chapter 2, and this is good if you have been on this journey with me. This is good if you're just coming for the first time. Chapter 2 talked a lot about changing our identity. And it really talked about how our habits, if we don't really have a solid identity, we're not really going to have solid habits. And he gave us a two-step process on how to change our identity. And I want to revisit that for a minute because this is going to help us as we go into our topic tonight about how to master our habits and how to increase our productivity. So, the two-step process that he talked about to change our identity, he one, we have to decide the type of person that we want to be. We literally get to decide. We are not, I mean, we could act like we're products of our environment or circumstances. We could, and a lot of us do. But do you know that you can decide? You literally have that control. And he says, regardless, you get to decide what that looks like for you. You get to decide what you want to stand for, what you want to stand up in. And number two, so the first one, he said, decide the person that you want to be. And number two, he said, prove it to yourself with small wins. He says, this is the process. And I say he, the author, his name is James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. He said, prove it to yourself with small wins. This is where healthy habits help us because the habits that we adopt for these small wins are really fueling our identity. And that backs the decision that we made of who we wanted to become. All right, y'all got that? So I wanted to, again, like I said, take a step back because that's going to help us, and I'm going to connect the dots. But I have some more questions that I want to ask you. These are more for reflection. So thank you, Sandra, for your honesty, because when I think about this topic tonight, I have both hands up. So the first reflection question: on a scale of 1 to 10, with one being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how productive do you feel in this season? One being the lowest and 10 being the highest. How productive do you feel in this season? And I'm going to answer too. I would say right now in this season, I would give myself probably a 7. I'll give myself a 7, not a 10, but that's where I would. But what about you? How productive do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10? All right, Sandra, I see your 7. All right. And then the second reflection question is: do you feel like you are more busy, or do you actually feel productive? Hi, Mila. I see your 8, Mila. Do you feel like you are more busy, or do you actually feel more productive? You don't have to answer that for me, but I just want to give you something to think about. Because sometimes when it comes to conversations around habits, when we talk about goals, when we talk about trying to make progress, really what we're talking about is change, right? And in the book, James Clear talks about how sometimes we want to make a change in our lives, but we easily get bogged down with the details and the plans for what that change even looks like. We get so busy trying to find the best way to change or the best way to accomplish a goal that we actually never get around to actually implementing the plan in the first place. That's why I asked the question: do you feel more busy, or do you feel more productive? Because sometimes the busy work that we're doing makes us feel productive, but we're not really making progress. Mm. Did y'all hear what I just said? Sometimes being busy makes us feel progressive, but all it is just busy. And one of the stories he shared from the book, this was really good. One of the stories he shared was about a professor of a photography class. He actually split the class into two groups. He split the class into the quantity group and to the quality group. So the quality group, this is how they were going to be graded. He said, I'm going to grade y'all on the work that you produce. And he would tally the photos by each student. So if they had 100 photos, they would have an A. If they had 90 photos, they would have a B, 80 photos, a C, and so on. And the quality group, though, they were going to be graded on excellence. They had to produce just one photo, and they would be graded only on the excellence of that one photo, and it had to be nearly perfect. So we're talking two groups: quantity group and quality group. Now, which group do you think actually won? Let me ask you in the chat, which group do you think you actually won? Do you think it was the quantity group who had to come up with um, a lot of photos to be graded on? Or do you think it was the quality group who was only graded on the one for excellence? Which group do you think actually won? Quality or quantity? Okay, Mila says quantity, the first one. Okay, Mila, you're actually right. It was the first group. Oh, you said quantity. It actually was, yeah, that's right. It was the quantity group. It was the quantity group because this group actually had, even though they were given opportunities to create a bunch of photos, but this is what they had to their advantage. They actually had an opportunity to actually test. They had opportunities to learn from their failures. They had opportunities to basically try different things. Whereas the one group, the quality group, only had one picture. But this is where they missed it, y'all. The quality group missed it because they obsessed over the perfection. And so because they obsessed over the perfection, they spent so much time trying to plan And they had ideas, but they shot down ideas. They second guessed themselves. They doubted. They spent so much time trying to get it right that when they finally submitted their work, it was mediocre. But the first group, y'all are exactly right. Sandra, Mila, you're right. It was the quantity group because this particular group, they actually got a chance to practice, repeat, fail, test something new, try again. And they actually were the ones who did much, much better. And so, one of the things, again, when we talk about this, how to master your habits and increase productivity, we want to make sure that we're not just busy, we want to be progressive, we want to be productive. Sandra says, I think taking lots of photos, I might come up with something that was really good almost by surprise. Yeah, I hear you, Sandra. I hear you. So, in this chapter, he talks about motion versus action. And I have my own personal story that I'll share with this because I don't know if y'all remember before we had Facebook Live, before we had Instagram Live, YouTube Live, and all of that, we had a platform called Periscope. Anybody remember Periscope? That actually was the one of the platforms back in the day before what we have right now. And I remember saying, I want to get on Periscope and I want to make sure that it's perfect. I obsessed over the perfection, like that quality group. So I went out and bought all this expensive equipment. I bought an expensive DSLR camera. I bought a green screen. I had the tripods with the green screen up. I had the fancy editing software. I even hired somebody to come in and do my makeup. And I recorded all these videos. And guess what? Nobody saw one video, not one. I deleted every last one of them, and I poured into it. I spent hours trying to make it perfect and second guess myself every single time. It was frustrating, y'all. And finally, one day, I don't know, I just had a come to Jesus meeting with myself, and I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna grab my phone and I'm just gonna do a video." And the reason why I obsessed over the perfection, to be honest, y'all, is I was scared. I was scared that I was gonna miss it. I was scared I was gonna be judged. I was scared that I wouldn't say the right thing, and so I obsessed over getting it right. Until I had that come to Jesus meeting with myself, and I just grabbed my phone one day, and I remember that day specifically because I had on a black hoodie, I didn't have on any makeup, and I grabbed my phone and I pressed record, and I said, "You know what? And this is what I said on camera. I said, "Is there anybody in here that you're just," and this was a recorded video, this wasn't live. But I said, "Is there anybody that you are just really tired of hearing yourself say all the things you're fixing to do? Like, I'm fixing to do this, or I'm fixing to do that." And I said, "I'm going to create a challenge for myself. I want to get unstuck. I don't want to just be busy, preparing for what I'm gonna do. I wanna make progress. And the way that I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna create this 30-day challenge. And this was the month of December. I'm gonna create this 30-day challenge. And every day I'm gonna get on camera and I'm gonna do it afraid and I'm gonna record a video. And I'm calling this my Get Unstuck Challenge. And if you wanna join me and get unstuck from whatever it is that you keep saying that you're fixing to do, join me on this challenge." And y'all, I did for 30 days or 31 because it was December. For 31 days, I recorded a video. And what happened was every video that I did, I was practicing, I was repeating, I was learning from the last one, and I was making progress because all of a sudden I started feeling more comfortable on camera. And that need to be perfect went away. And I'm sharing this because sometimes I love what he talked about in this chapter, motion versus action. Sometimes we can be stuck in motion mode for so long because we're busy planning, we're busy strategizing, we're busy learning, but we're not getting results. Hello? We're so busy. That's why I asked you, are you busy or are you actually productive? No judgment here. I just want to give us all something to think about. He said, being in motion means literally you're doing some good stuff. You're planning, you're strategizing, you're learning, but you're not getting results. And then what happens is we beat ourselves up and we're like, man, I want to do this or I should be doing that. And what he says we really should be doing is we really should be taking action. This is how we're going to make our habits. What's the title of this? Make How to Master Your Habits and Increase Productivity. This is how we're going to be able to do that. We have to stop focusing so much on motion alone, and we've got to start taking action. He gave some examples of what that looks like. Here's an example of motion. We say, I'm going to outline 20 ideas for this article that I want. That's an example of motion. But an action example is I'm actually going to write the article. Another motion example is if I search for a better meal plan and I read books on it, I watch YouTube videos about it, then I'll be able to one day. That's motion. But action says I'm actually going to eat a healthy meal. Do y'all see the difference? Motion for me back then was I want to start doing videos. And I go through the motion of getting the camera, getting the green screen, getting the editing software, even having somebody come and do makeup like it's a light, what they call a lights, camera, action, going through the motions of all of that. But I wasn't progressive because I didn't take action to actually execute and get the videos out there. I obsessed over perfection so much that I talked myself out of it. Now, I did do the 30-day challenge. I had to get out of my own way. I had to do it afraid. And today, I'm so grateful that I did because, yes, I still get nervous when I have to do something like this, but it doesn't paralyze me and it doesn't stop me. I know how to master the habit of showing up because I'm learning how to master the emotions of fear when it rears its ugly head. Am I helping somebody right now? Sandra, I see you. I see you. She said, "You're speaking right to me." She said, "I've only been back on track last month from progressive to productive." Let me tell you, when I told you that this was for me too, this was for me too, because that's that's why I had to go back to chapter 2 on identity. Because just because we made up our mind 1 minute to say this is who I want to be, doesn't mean that we're set for life. This is a everyday decision, moment by moment. Because anything can come that can cause us to want to step back and shrink back in fear and doubt and insecurity. So, what I'm talking to you about and how to master your habits and how to stay productive and be productive, this is not a one and done type thing. This is an intentional type thing. And I love how in this chapter, he's introduced us to the third law of behavior change, and that is make it easy. Make it easy. Because how many of y'all know as humans, we can complicate the mess out of something, right? We can. I mean, use my example with the camera. I complicated the mess out of that thing. And when I just literally grabbed my phone and propped it up, I had it propped up on some books. I didn't even have a tripod. I just used my phone, propped it up some on some books, made it easy, and then I repeated the action. I repeated it every single day. I made a commitment and I literally went from the fear to the productivity. And like I told y'all, it doesn't mean that just because I did that back then, that I don't experience fear anymore. I have just learned how to master the habit of dealing with my emotions. Sandra says, yes, it's an ongoing process to recover and maintain our identity. At the end of the day, whew, one of the things he says, a lot of times, let me go back here. He says, being in motion is easy. It's easier. Let me just say it like this. It's easier. It's easier to make a plan. It's easier to strategize. It is easier to learn something. Like we can take a course, we can watch a video, we can read a book. It is easier to do those things, right? He says, but when all the planning and the preparation and watching the YouTube videos and reading the books and doing everything we know to strategize, when all of that we're doing that we say is a good thing because, hey, I'm busy. When we do all that, but it becomes procrastination, then we're not making progress. That's a good thing gone bad. Did I just help somebody right now? This helped me tremendously when I read it. I have to say it again. Being in motion is easy. Strategizing, learning, all of that is easy. Preparing. Like I could literally come into my office and literally say, I need to spend the whole day filing. I could, I need to. And totally ignore the fact that I have to make sales calls. I have to prepare for videos, for trainings. I have to do specific things to actually be in business and not just be busy, right? We all could do those things. But here's the thing, y'all, when it becomes procrastination and we're not making progress, all we're doing is just being busy. And then we're wondering why we're not where we should be. I promise y'all I'm talking to me. I promise you I'm talking to me. Here's what he said though, because when it comes to planning and details, I'm not the best at this. I'm not. And I loved how he redeemed this and he said, you don't have to plan out every single detail when you start a new habit. You don't. That's why he called this third law of behavior change, make it easy, because really it's what's the most obvious step that you can take. Because he said what's going to help you learn how to master that habit is repetition and practice. What's the little thing that you can do? It's so simple that you've even overlooked it. But what's the little thing you can do? For me, back then, it was just grabbing my phone and pressing record and just talking. Now, again, that's why I had to go back to identity because the more confident we are, the better it will be. And when I say confident, confident in who we are, confident in ourselves. That's a work in progress. I get it. I truly do. More than you realize, I do. But it's necessary for us to establish and answer those questions. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to show up as? And then whoever that is, do the work and prove it to yourself. You don't have to prove it to anyone else. And this is what happens though. Another reason why we get stuck in motion and we're constantly in preparation mode and we're not really um, doing anything to take action. Here's another reason. If we're honest, this is another reason. It's because we don't want to be judged, right? Am I lying? It's because we don't want to be judged. And so we're constantly chasing perfection. We're saying it's not right yet, it's not ready yet, because we don't want to be judged, right? So what happens is subconsciously, we'll start self-sabotaging and we'll start to avoid situations. We'll start to avoid responsibilities. We'll start to go backwards. And that's why the title of this chapter is called Walk Slowly but Never Backward. Hey, Tracy, that's what happens because we start that starts chipping away at our identity and we start devaluing ourselves in our own mind. Maybe I'm not worthy of this. Maybe I'm not ready for this. Maybe this is too big for me. These are all the self-talk things that we say. I have another story. I'm just going to be really honest with you on this one. So I had a personal setback I've been a full-time entrepreneur now, gosh, going on 20 years. I've had several businesses. I've been in this business since 2014 full time. And prior to COVID, business was good. I saw growth. I'm seeing growth, right? During COVID, business was great because when I decided to master or learn how to get comfortable being on camera, when the world shut down, that actually was to my advantage because a lot of companies were looking to do their training and development online. And because I was able to do that 30-day challenge back then, I was prepared for something I didn't even realize was coming. And because I was prepared, opportunities were coming. They were coming, y'all. And many of you know I am certified on the John Maxwell team. And business was great, so much to the point where the John Maxwell team reached out to me and said, "We want to interview you." And the interview went worldwide, literally went worldwide. And my inbox, my email, oh my gosh, y'all, it blew up. Like people were like, applauding me and like, "You're so great. Can you show me how to do this?" Or just it was it was a lot. It was almost overwhelming, to be honest. And my identity was in a different place back then. It was so overwhelming that I didn't even realize I probably wouldn't have admitted it back then, but now because I've been working on my self-awareness, I can actually say this out loud, but it almost made me take a step back. And it caused me to wanna go into hiding because I was like, "Whoa, this is too much attention. This is whoa, who do y'all think I am?" You know? It was a lot of just the overwhelm. It really was. It was overwhelming. And again, my identity wasn't where it is now. And so because of that, I procrastinated on things. I stopped showing up for certain things, and I started shrinking back. And what was happening was my subconscious dialogue was saying things like, "Who do you think you are? Nobody wants to listen to you. You don't have anything that anybody wants to, who are you to train anybody? Look at your life, look at your situation." And so I started taking steps back because again, going back to that identity, y'all, going back to what I said, nobody wants to feel judged. Nobody wants to, what did I say here? Nobody likes to feel judged or out there. So what happens is we obsess over perfection or we go in the other direction and we withdraw. Am I talking to anybody? I'm telling y'all my personal stuff for a reason. But what happened though was thank goodness for counseling. Thank goodness for life coaching. Thank goodness for not quitting, not giving up, and great support system. That's all I can say. Thank goodness for all of that because when I said that I wanted to do this, it was me having to face all of that limiting belief again, those limiting beliefs again, all of that negativity, all of that self-doubt, and what happened was I had to start working on my confidence again. That's why I said this is not a one and done type thing because when your life when you go through different levels or different seasons of life, you just find yourself in a different place. And so I found myself in a place of, I gotta figure out who I am again. I gotta figure out why am I here? Why am I doing this? It's and why am I hiding? I mean, I had to ask myself some serious questions again with a strong support system. I didn't do this by myself, y'all. I'm not doing it by myself, right? So a lot of times, the reason why we're not mastering our habits, it goes all the way back to identity. It goes all the way back to that. And sometimes we don't show up or we overcompensate because really we've made it complicated. And if we're going to master our habits, y'all, if we want to increase our productivity, We got to figure out who we are. I know, I may sound like a broken record every week. And let me just kind of answer this because I can hear somebody probably saying, what does that even look like? What does finding out who you are really even look like, right? And so sometimes it's asking the hard questions. I use journaling a lot. I love to journal. So sometimes it's asking the right questions and having the courage to answer them for yourself. Sometimes it's having the support of a counselor. When you go through counseling, it's because you think you need somebody to help you see where you got stuck in what stage or phase of life you got stuck. And then the life coach is somebody that's there to help you when you commit to a goal, when you commit to a dream. You have somebody there that is helping you with the strategy, the steps, the process is moving forward. And then your friend circle, whether that's your friends or family, they're there to fan the flames. Now, you don't need everybody, and I know not everybody in your friend circle or your family circle is going to be able to qualify for what I'm talking about. You don't need a whole lot of people, but you do need a circle. So you that's one way. These are just some ways of how do you figure out who you are, right? And then you have to also get to the place when it comes to mastering your habits and learning how to increase your productivity is you have to commit to something, but make it easy. Commit to the most obvious thing that's in front of you. For me, like I said, it was just picking up my phone. What's the obvious thing for you? What's the thing that you're procrastinating on that you've made it complicated, but really it's just throw the list away and just write the first step, you know? Um, and then repeat it. That's the other thing. Once you make the step, repeat the step. Keep practicing, keep showing up for that thing. And next thing you know, like me, I did the 30-day challenge. 30 days later, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And I ended up selling all that other fancy equipment back then and just started using my phone because that was easier to show up and commit to. Here's some questions, and let me just check in here. Tracy says, confidence building is a daily process for me. Thank you, Tracy, for being honest on that. Sandra says, have you been looking over my shoulder? Ma'am, I guess this is just the conversation of the hour. um, is this helping you? Is this helping you? If it is, let me know. Let me know in the chat if this is helping you, if you're resonating with what I'm saying. Here's some other ways, when I say, find out who you are. Here's some questions that you can ask and answer for yourself. And some of y'all may need to go grab your notebook and write this down. Or some of y'all may need to go to my YouTube channel and watch the replay. Don't forget to subscribe though. But here's some self-evaluation questions that you can ask yourself. Am I procrastinating in any area? Do I put things off? Have I been stuck in planning mode but failing to execute? Are you the type of person who prefers to get straight to the doing part of something? In other words, is it easy for you to take action? Maybe some areas you overplan, and some areas maybe you take action. What areas are those for you? What does that look like for you? You know, are you more concerned with how long it will take you to form your new habit? Because that right there can be a thing that can trip people up because you might think, I know I need to do this thing, but it's going to take me forever. So the question is not how long will it take me? It's how far can I grow? John Maxwell, one of my mentors, has a term he calls growth over goals. If we focus on growth, that's who we are becoming in the process, we'll hit our goals. And so the question is not how long will this take? It's how far can I grow? And are you aware that habits are formed by repetitions more than how long a period you've been doing them? So again, it's the repetition and the practice of just doing the thing. So some of y'all, you came here, maybe you're watching the replay. Maybe you need to create your own 30-day challenge. Mine was getting comfortable on camera. and it's paid off. Again, I still get nervous. Every time I speak, every time I show up on camera, I still get nervous. But I've learned how to master the feelings of fear and just show up anyway. But what is your thing? You don't have to answer and put all your business out there for me, but hopefully you're taking notes and you're writing for yourself. Maybe you need to create your own 30-day challenge. And maybe you need to commit to showing up every single day for the next 30 days, doing that thing. Practice, repeat, practice, learn, try again every single day. And it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It's just doing a thing, a step. And if you really want to make it a habit and master it and improve your productivity, tell somebody. Like literally tell somebody. Say, this is what I'm committing to for the next 30 days. If you want to tell me, email me, Tasha at maximizedgrowthllc.com. If you don't have anybody that you can share your thing with because you're afraid they're going to judge you, you're afraid they're going to misunderstand you, email me. Just get it outside of you, get it out of your heart, get it out of your mind. Tell somebody, this is what I'm committing to. And then every day, show up. The most obvious, the most easy step that you can take, and just do it. Sandra says, yes, yes, and yes. I feel comfortable with the camera, so there was no excuse. I just decided to go live and tell women what I see. It came together and the response was wonderful. I finally took that first step and now I can see the next ones and I have confidence to take them. High five, Sandra. And she says, yep, take a deep breath and just do it. Take the imperfections in stride and do it again. Yep. This for me is we're on our 11th week. No. We're on our 11th week of doing Transformational Tuesdays with Tasha. And what makes me show up? Because the fact that I put it out there, the fact that I know people are waiting, the fact that I know that my story may help somebody else, I can't even, if I wanted to shrink back right now, I couldn't because my why is bigger. My motive is bigger. This is bigger than me. And that's what happens a lot of times, y'all, when we're talking about how to master our habits and how to improve our productivity. If we can get the focus off of ourselves and understand that there is a purpose that we have that we're called to that's bigger than we are, somebody's looking for you. Somebody's waiting on you. Their breakthrough, they're literally waiting on you to show up, to stand up, to speak up. They're literally waiting on you. So my thing is, are you gonna leave them hanging? Because you're so focused on, I don't wanna be judged. I don't have it all together yet. There's something that you can do. Um, Tracy, thank you for that. Tracy said, I'm going to create, she said, I will create my 30-day challenge. Hey, Karen. Karen says, I hear that, Tasha. And Karen can testify like nobody can. Y'all, it took me a minute just to show up here because she's one of my team members. And I remember back then I was procrastinating just on even showing up, because I was concerned about who am I right now? How do I show up now? And y'all, this is week 11. This is me mastering a habit. This is me improving my own productivity. So I'm not just telling you that this is all that I read in the book. I'm implementing this too. And this is spilling over into other areas of my life. It's spilling over into my workout. Like I'm showing up. I have an appointment on my calendar to meet with my personal trainer. Now it's up to 3 times a week. I'm putting one foot in front of the other. And so, y'all, somebody's waiting. Somebody is waiting on you. You just gotta just show up and don't let fear be the thing that stops you. Let it be the thing that fuels you. That's why if you see here, I have this sign on my wall, do it afraid. It's my constant reminder. Fear doesn't have to go away. I just have to make it, I gotta leverage it. I have to make it bow down to me and get out of my way so that it can turn into strength. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for that. Awesome, y'all. Well, next week, we are going to be talking about the law of least effort. We're still on the third law of behavior change, and we're talking about how to make it easy. So remember the first ones we talked about: make it obvious, make it attractive, and now we're talking about make it easy. I would love for you to do me a favor in the comments. Let me know what's your one takeaway from today. What did you get from this? And what if you decide to do a 30-day challenge, share it with somebody, and y'all put one foot in front of the other and go. And I would love to hear how you're doing. Tasha at maximizedgrowthllc.com. I would love to hear how you're doing. And don't forget, this is actually a podcast now on YouTube. So if you're not a subscriber for my channel, it's at Maximized Now on YouTube. Would love for you to subscribe, like it, share it. And we're showing up here every single week on Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook and YouTube, and we're continuing the journey of atomic habits. And y'all, let's do it, and let's do it to where at the end of the day, it's not about everything that we're doing only, it's about who we are becoming in the process. Growth over goals. All right, y'all take care. Have a wonderful rest of your week. I will see y'all next week right here on Transformational Tuesdays with Tasha. Bye.